Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Tiffany Smith, and I am the Director of Marketing and Communications here at PM and Associates. And we're so glad you guys could join us here for our very first ZSi-Foster webinar. During the presentation today, I am going to keep everybody on mute, but please feel free to jot down questions. There is a little Q&A box at the top of your screen, so feel free to utilize that box or just keep notes to yourself. And then at the end of the presentation, we will have time 10, 15, 20 minutes at the end, however long our guests need to fulfill their questions. Justin's willing to stay around however long you guys need to answer any questions at the end of the presentation. We are very, very excited to welcome Justin today. Justin is the Central Regional Sales Manager for ZSi-Foster. He has had 17 years in the industry selling strut bolted framing, 16 years at Beeline. He's worked 1 year at a rep agency in St. Louis in 2021. He's worked in customer service, inside sales, quotes, customer service management, factory direct salesman, and as a regional. And he is currently covering 14 different states in the central market. So we are so excited to introduce Justin Hug from ZSi-Foster. Thanks so much for joining us today, Justin.
I'm happy to be here and teach everyone a little bit about what we have going on. So,
All
yeah,
right,
it's
take it
good.
away.
So, first of all, I'm going to go ahead, guys, and transition over and share my screen, and we'll pull up the presentation. Bear with me 1 second. Some of you guys I know, and some I've never met before. So I just wanted to say thanks for joining. Tiffany, if you can confirm you can see my screen or not, let me
I
know.
can confirm. Yep, that
And
looks
I'm going to
great.
go ahead. I'm turning my camera off, so it's just focused on that. Hopefully, it should say Wasenko real big.
Yep,
So,
looks
um,
great.
it's been kind of a crazy story with our branding and our marketing. Kind of sitting back and watching how we develop to who we are. Um, that's not transitioning. The what we had was about 8 years ago, two companies came together, ZSi-Foster and Hydrazorb, both leaders in the industry for insulation clamps, vibration clamps, both located a very, very close proximity to each other in Detroit, in Michigan. They were kind of like the Crips and the Bloods. They were very territorial on their customers. They competed very closely. And one day they kind of came together and said, hey, we should, you know, if you guys would like to sell, we would like to, see how these two companies come together. So they did, started having some success. They kept both names, although they approached the market a little bit differently. It made sense to keep both in the market under two different names, but as far as production and everything, it did move into one facility. So they had a couple good years, and it allowed them to move forward and really shift the company into purchasing Wasenko Strut, which is out in California on the West Coast. And then in 2019, they purchased Florida Strut, which is obviously down in Florida, down in Ocala, Florida. And then the third acquisition was Versabar, which is another strut manufacturer up in the Northeast. So now you have a clamp company that has three different brand strut manufacturers, strut mills in the United States, with no real footprint in the Central. So although our brand is very, very good and well known, the Hydrazorb name is probably the best known. We are kind of shifting gears and trying to focus our marketing around one strut name and one clamp name. So this graph kind of shows you guys a little bit more graphically where we're at in this big blue dot in the middle. And this is kind of why it's important to all of us on this call here in the Central. That is, we have a new strut manufacturing facility in Nashville, Tennessee that's starting to go online January 1st. It'll have a state-of-the-art strut roller mill. That mill will have very, very quick changeovers in die and tooling. So it'll do, slotted, not slotted, long slots very quickly. It'll also do cut pieces very quickly off the mill. Um, the blue dot up in Chicago and then this kind of blob, not a very good blue dot in Kentucky. So those are two um, warehouses that we just opened within the last 6 weeks. We put about $2 million of inventory in Louisville, Kentucky, and about $4 million in inventory in Chicago. And those are specifically to service the Central. So, um, very rapidly, you could see we're trying to really get a footprint in the Central and kind of take these regional strut manufacturers and we've really picked one name. So Wasenko will be the brand name moving forward. We're still going to have ZSi as a name for the clamps. I mean, that's in Hydrazorb. Those are the names that you guys are using every day. But for the strut part of the business, we're going to go with the brand Wasenko. So these pictures are a little bit old now. These are a little bit more exciting about 2 months ago. These are the strut racks that we put up in Chicago. Louisville is very similar. Obviously, you can see. I mean, those are massive, massive racks. So put a ton of inventory, a ton of investment in there to help service the central. Basically, everything that PM touches, these locations will definitely help service uh, distribution in those markets. So as you can see, we kind of pulled Florida strut off that for a long time in my slide deck in the Carolinas, Alabama, Florida. That would have had the Florida strut name. Definitely Wasenko is taking over and that will be our strut brand name moving forward. The Northeast still is Versabar, but we're hoping by January 1st that will be Wasenko as well. So when you're purchasing your clamps, your ZSi, your Cush clamps, Cushatherms, know that the brand of strut that we will be selling to go with it is Wasenko. I like to start off with that because there's a lot of confusion around who we are, and it's growing pains, right? As we've added these companies, it's definitely been a work in progress to kind of go to one name, one catalog, one part number. It sounds easy, but there's a lot of stuff in the background to make that happen. So it's good timing, crazy timing for us and growth, and we're looking to attack the market that way. So why was Senko and ZSI? We offer strut channel strut accessories, rooftop supports. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We have a nice full line of spring steel fasteners. We're getting ready to do some investments in there as well. Electrical raceway systems, full line of cushion clamps and insulating clamps and vibration pads. We do those very well. So we have some of the top combined strut knowledge. My boss, my quotations person, Dwayne Holzinger. I think he has 43 years experience. He was at a competitor for 43 years. My boss, Rick Duff, 33 years in the market. Myself, a ton of years. Our national accounts guy has 15 years in the industry. Our customer service, person that we just added. She's going on 15 years in the industry. She did 10 years at Beeline and 5 years at Capital. So just a lot of knowledge around strut, clamps, fittings, hardware, good knowledge. We really focus on customer service. A lot of investments around there. Like I said, hiring Christy specifically for the central. We don't have call centers, and the people that you're talking to when you do call in, they're actually in the United States, located in the central and servicing the central. So more direct communication, and we have really good existing relationships. I've been doing this a long time. I've called on a lot of end users and contractors, and some of the distribution that you guys are calling on. We have established relationships. We know the market, we know the levels. A lot of that comes from our previous history with past life working at another competitor, but we bring all that to the table for Wasenko. So. And we have an engineering catalog. I just want to point that out. That's what the catalog looks like when it comes to you. We have a new generation of catalog coming out. It will not have the Foster products, the couplings and that stuff, but full line of strut fittings, hardware, clamps, and shield saddles, and rooftop blocks. So we'll have all that available. One thing I like to get into when we're talking strut, one thing that we do is when we make and roll our strut at the facilities, we actually stamp a heat code lot. material code number into the strut. And what that allows us to do is that gives us accountability. So if there's ever a failure in the field, or if we ever have to present any type of traceability, we can go all the way back to the heat core melt of that metal, that material. Um, that gives us a leg up on nuclear projects, some government type stuff. I mean, it is very, very important. I probably wouldn't have come to this company if they didn't do that. Really good strut providers do that. Um, we compete against a lot of guys with import, low price, stuff like that. And I can tell you that contractors, certain projects, this is a big deal to have that. And it's a big quality thing too, and accountability thing in the material that you're using. So we definitely do that. We check that box. All the different all the different flavors, if that's what you want to call it. Your standard inch 5/8 deep, right? Everybody's going to have that. We do very well on back to back. 3 1/4, 2 7/16, 13/16, all the different heights, all the different combinations, side by side, back to back. We offer all of that, deep, shallow, mini. We have everything. We have knockouts, long slot. It's a full breadth of product. And then one thing I do want to point out, at the right of the screen, that we do a little bit different is we actually, in our catalog, we actually catalog our pre-cut strut. So we actually have existing part numbers, and we stock a lot of the common sizes, like in the inch and 5/8. We actually stock 1 footer, 2 footer, 3, 4, 5, and then I think it jumps to like 8 or something. So we have a lot of those available. The part numbers are already made, and we typically keep 100 to 200 in stock just for when guys are in a pinch. But the big deal with the pre-cut is, if you have a contractor on site that is cutting the strut anyway, they're buying 10 footers, buying 20 footers, big projects, right? You can target them. They're paying a guy to stand and cut that strut down to the trapeze size that they need, right? 2 footer, 3 footer. They're going to cut it up anyway. There's not many projects, maybe a few, but not many, that they actually install a 10 or 20 foot piece, right? They're all cut to size. So this brings a little bit of value. We get a premium. You guys get to, sell it at a premium. And it's pre-cut, takes the labor, it's a safety play. So it comes with a factory edge. It's not sharp. It's already deburred, ready to go. Once you turn a contractor onto this, especially for prefab where there's a ton of repetition, it's a very powerful selling tool. And I absolutely love that in our catalog for many different sizes. We actually call out part numbers. So ready to go. And these are just some pictures that I took of what it looks like when we ship our cut strut. Um, Banded on a skid, nice and easy for contractor or distributor to handle, clean. And again, you're taking out the labor. It's easier to store 2 footer, 3 footers initially when they come on a job site versus big 10 footers. Easier to move around. Again, you're going back to the safety thing. So it's an important thing to talk to your customers about at every level. So we also offer, all the different materials as well. We have stainless steel, 304, 3/16 on strut, fiberglass, um, green. A lot of guys still use the green. We offer green. We can do it in plain. Believe it or not, the people that are painting or doing certain stuff, they don't want to finish on it, so we will ship it in plain, or just your everyday, e.g., pre-galvanized. So all the different flavors. And it goes for fittings too. So typically the fittings we have, you can match the whatever flavor of strut you want. If you want green strut, green fittings, we can do that. If you want hot tip galv strut, we have hot tip galv fittings, and so on. Pretty powerful bandwidth of material. Obviously, we talked about the strut a little bit. We're the world leader in cush clamps. I would say that we probably own 80% of the market when it comes to cush clamps. We private label for 43 different companies. Typically, if you're buying a cush clamp, if it's from, I won't name companies, but XYZ, we probably make them in Michigan and private label, bag them, and ship them out. It's probably a pretty high percentage that it is one of our clamps, rebag private label. So we're very, very good at the cush clamps. Um, Big, wide variety of fittings, full line of strut fittings. I know that's very important. Utility brackets, and then all the hardware, strut nuts, stud nuts, twirl nuts, um, all the different fasteners. Even if it's just coming down to different, bolts, standard nuts, square washers, everything. We offer it. Specialty items, which I would say, rollers, concrete inserts, trolleys, and some of the cantilever brackets. We have that as well. Just a quick little look at insulation clamps. We have the Cushiotherm, which is a very, very good product. Allows you to insulate right up against and have a nice, clean place to mount the pipe. Cow clamps as well. Cushion clips, which is just a smaller little um, plastic clip down clamp. It's nice because you can use those with insulation as well. And then we're very strong on saddles. We have three different versions. This actually only shows two. So you have Snap a Saddle Pro and Snap a Saddle Multi, which is basically the same cup. And then you have the Value, which is a much cheaper shield. And then we offer a metal one as well. But then we have another one called the Bronco, which is pretty similar to the Snap a Saddle. We make that in house. We own the dies on that, and it's got a little bit better price point. So we have you guys cover on the saddles. And again, all those products right there, their main goal is when you're trying to prevent condensation, when you're trying to protect the insulation on a line, these are the products that do that. You'll see these used in grocery store applications, clean room, even some data center type stuff. So. And then we talked about these a little bit. We make all these in house. We make all the dies for the inserts, for the Cush clamps. Hopefully, you can kind of see my cursor. But the standard Cush clamp, the second one that I'm actually circling, is by far the most common. A few years ago, we came out with a Cushionator. I have a little bit of a video that I'm going to show a little bit. It's a quick little video. I tend to push people toward the Cushionator for a couple different reasons. You can see the three different colors. It has different temperature ranges, which is great, especially for steam room. It has a built-in control squeeze that the standard Cush clamps not all the sizes have those, where the Cushionator is always going to have a control squeeze. And it just has a nice little retrofittable capability to it, which is we'll see in the video. It's a really kind of a really cool product. It has way more to offer than a standard Cush clamp, and it's pretty much the same darn price. So Omega clamps, which is very similar, one piece clamp with the insulation or the rubber block in it as well. Alpha series, which is a U-bolt. The Cush Claw, which I have one of those here next to me. I'll show you guys how cool those are. It's a neat product. It's a new product. UL listed, UV rated, plenum rated. It's just a really cool thing that we make. We actually make those in the States in Michigan. It's a pretty little product. And I'll show you some advantages to that one here in a second. Horse clamp, which is a little bit more on the electrical side. And then the one-piece clamps, the click ends, pretty self-explanatory. They're very, very inexpensive ways to retain or clean down pipe or copper. So another new thing that we came out with is the strut serpent. I'm pretty excited about this. I have a trade show after this. I'm going to really highlight this one, and it's going to be one of our big focus products. We are owned by a company called Ideal. That's kind of our mothership, Ideal Clamp, and they make like a million something worm gears a day. So obviously there's a huge advantage to us with making this style clamp. It's made out of a 301 stainless steel. It installs very, very quickly, and it's very, very strong on install. So it's really good for guys that are doing prefab. They want to do some installing in the shop and then move the unit. Typically, it's going to hold down better than a two-piece strut strap. It's also going to install a little bit faster too. And this is the second video that I have is installing that. I can tell you that having new products like this, it's a big deal because it gives you a couple different things. A, they bring a ton of value. They're very price competitive. They come in a stainless steel, and it really gives you something of value to go in and talk to your contractors, your distributors with. So this is a cool one. And I will, again, that video will show it a little bit better, some of the advantage of it as well. Just kind of give you another picture of what that looks like. Very similar to a Cobra clamp. Um, it's where you're trying to kind of outperform a two-piece standard strut strap. This, you just take it out of the box. It looks just like that. You hook it on, tighten it down. It doesn't matter if it's copper or, it's conduit in the picture, but they work on copper as well. Then I'll talk about rooftops, to transition to here a little bit. This is a picture that I actually took this past weekend up in Springfield, in a hotel room looking down at the roof next to us. Um, what you can kind of see is this electrical. I assume this is an electrical line in plastic conduit, right? So these blocks at one point in time were screwed underneath. This one kind of still isn't not really, to support that um, conduit run to be up off of the rocks so that when it rains, right, that's not sitting down in the water, right? Because it's electric. Well, you can see over time what's happened is these 4x4s have floated away, they've flipped, they've moved, they're either like missing completely. It's just not good, right? This is exactly what you don't want in your rooftop installation for any line, whether it's a drainage, copper pipe, electrical, it doesn't matter. This is why guys using wooden 4x4s is just not a good thing. Um, or this installation as well, right? Just terrible. If I'm a building owner, this is not what I want. None of these scenarios. That football. That's kind of a joke, but that's basically what we're trying to do away with. So we have, in my opinion, one of the best rooftop blocks in the market for a couple different reasons. We actually embed the screws. You can kind of see it in this mini block here. If you can see my cursor moving, we embed the stainless steel nut into the block. It can't spin. It's locked in there. That allows you to do a couple different things. You can mount directly to the block, or you can get it with the strut mounted on top, right, to do your runs and your lines. So it has a great price point. It's made out of recycled tires. It gets you lead credits. The green is actually a reflective stripe that's baked into it when they're making it. So it has a safety play for early morning or late at night. A guy's up on a roof, doesn't see a black line. He's got a flashlight, it'll give a reflection. So the other cool part about these is they play for almost every industry. And it doesn't matter whether it's electrical, HVAC, plumbing, mechanical, they all use rooftop blocks. So it's a great product across the board. We have a new block called a biggie block, and I have one of these sitting next to me. I'll show you guys just how big it is, but it's great just because of the load pounds. It really mounts stuff down nicely. The pattern that's on it, it allows for post bases or strut to actually be attached directly to the block. And you can see here, the nice thing about it is transition. So you can have equipment running one way, two directional. Um, it just gives you a little bit more opportunity to mount stuff directionally up on a roof if you have crossroads or intersection than you would have with a typical rooftop block. So again, you get lead credits with those as well. This is a new product. There's not a lot of competition on these. Very heavy duty rooftop guys. It's a big one for those. We have samples for everything that I'm showing you guys. You can take that email down. We can request samples from there. So samples aren't just new products. We can do samples on anything you guys need to see. I mean, I realize that there's some big names out there, Beeline, Unistrut, Hayden, some of those guys. We are definitely an up and comer when it comes to strut manufacturers. So if ever a contractor or distributor wants to see some material, ping me, let us know. We'll gladly send any samples needed. Let them check out our strut and our quality. So, and here's just kind of what some of the counter displays look like. This is the one for the strut serpent. I apologize for the picture being a little bit blurry, but nice little counter displays. They show good at distribution. Um, they come with catalogs as well. So the backside of that actually has like a little one-page flyer to hand out. So good on the display stuff. So I end with this slide. This is definitely a strut application. Uh, I like it because it's comical, yet it has all different kind of strut fittings in the background. This is actually out in Disneyland out in California, which is about 10 minutes from our strut facility there. So there's a very, very, very high probability that this strut and strut fittings is Wasenko brand. So glad to show that. And I'll open it up to any questions. Then we'll transition. We'll do a quick video.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justin. Yeah, does anyone have any questions right now? I'm gonna unmute everyone.
I'll just show everybody how big that biggie block really is, how heavy. I mean, I got a post base mounted to it, and a piece of strut. I'm gonna go do a trade show after this, and this will be a highlighted product. So it really is a biggie block.
Let
And
me
this is
unmute
that
everybody.
cush clip is the claw as well. So you can see it's just this little bracket here. It's a quarter turn in, and then it doesn't matter what's a piece of conduit or pipe. It just snaps in that easy for that application, or if it's on a trapeze, obviously retains it in like that. So I expect those to be very, very popular. They have a really good price.
Perfect. I'm allowing everyone's mic right now.
Hey, Justin, Todd Morgan, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for the webinar, man. That was very good and informative. I know this is a popular question. How are we on Clevis?
So we have a plan for Clevis hangers. I'll be completely honest. It's not moving fast enough. I know that uh, to be, the guys that you're in front of every day are buying Clevis. I would say that, that's part of the reason why we brought in Chris Seacheck to help kind of establish that. He's wrapping up the Spring Still Faster strategy right now. And, we have some Clevis, and
Mhm.
we're good on servicing some things, but your big day-to-day Clevis guys, we're not quite there yet. So I would
And no
expect
worries. I mean, we're
probably,
still
I
able to sell. Mhm.
probably 6 to 8 months, probably to have a stronger um focus around pipe hangers, Clevis.
Okay, cool.
That's actually a
Cool,
great
man.
question, and trust me, it's one that I bring up weekly on my what I need email to my boss.
Sure,
So
sure. All right, man.
yeah,
Well,
and it's
thanks for
it's
the
weird for
update.
me, right? Because the past life I came from. I mean, it's like
Oh,
peanut
yeah.
butter and jelly. Um,
Right.
you got to have them both. But right now, we're really trying to make sure we have our peanut butter correct,
Yeah,
and strategy around that, which we do, and then we can start looking at different jelly. So
sounds good. Thanks, man.
thanks for the question, Todd.
Thanks, Todd. Anybody else? Everyone's unmuted, so you are free to ask Justin any questions that you might have.
Just need to get you in the market, Justin, Todd. Again, just I got some ideas of some places I can take you. That's for sure. So let me know how your schedule's looking in the future here soon.
Okay.
Let somebody back in here to the meeting.
I'm going to try to share this. Can you see should say machine builder?
Yep.
Yes.
Let me know, does the volume come through?
I'm not hearing anything right now.
I can talk through it as well. So what they're doing is like a retrofit. So if they're changing out a line or doing something differently, the traditional style clamps, you have to completely disassemble them. If you wanted to get to the one in the middle, you can't, like if it's on a multiple trapeze line, you can't change those out. You can't roll the new insert in. And this is showing you basically how you can, you don't have to disassemble any of the rest of the line if you need to just add one clamp. Very, very flexible. And you can't over tight, because hopefully you can see my cursor, that insert in the middle allows you to have a control squeeze on that every time you install it. So making the different colors is the biggest part. You have different temperature ranges as well. So now let me transition over to this one. Okay, Tiffany, can you see, it should be a caution, the little warning thing on it.
I can, yep.
So this one's the strut serpent. And they're gonna show you the difference between the installation between a two-piece clamp and using the serpent. And the one thing to note with this, again, it doesn't matter whether it's copper or conduit, it's how much closer you can get using the serpent versus putting side by side with the traditional two-piece. So you kind of get the idea there. Just way faster on the install. And the other nice thing about it is there's some flexibility. Each of those worm gear clamps, especially the larger sizes, I think like over 1 inch, fit about 4 to 5 different sizes of pipe. So if you have a service guy running a truck, essentially one clamp could do 2 or 3 different sizes of pipe on the job, and he doesn't have to worry about, do I have this size, do I have that size on the strut clamp. So there's some major advantages with that guy right there. As far as material install. So that's all I have, Tiffany. If there's anything
That's
else, any other
fantastic.
questions, let
Thank
me
you
know.
so much, Justin. This is fantastic presentation. I'll open it up one more time for any more questions.
Easy group.
That's right. Well, just so everyone knows, this meeting was recorded and it will be on our YouTube channel, so you can reference it whenever you would like. We will be launching it as well to all of our customers, so you can always go back to our YouTube channel and use it for more education and informational purposes in the future. And if you would like any more information, please do not hesitate to reach out to PM and Associates. You can find all of our contact information on our website, which is p-masssoc.com. And once again, thank you so much, Justin. This is a fantastic webinar. We really appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everyone.
Have a great day, everyone.